All right, folks. So we have Carlos Sanchez here with Continental Roof Company. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Great. So, hey, what's something you're looking forward to this week?
Some cool weather. We're getting a nice little front blowing through here. Hopefully a little storm or two that pops up. But yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah. We just got our first massive rain here in Northern California, so we're glad that we got some sun coming in. So Carlos comes here with 30 years of roofing experience. Can you share a little bit about your role today and how it fits in the bigger picture with Continental Roofing Company?
Sure. Yeah. Our my role is pretty much a little bit of everything. As a small business owner, we kind of dive into wherever we're needed, whenever we're needed. Like this morning, I took off to help train a guy out in the field, an inspection and meeting with a homeowner, and everything. Even as down like I had to send an invoice in. My bookkeeper was out today, so I had to email an invoice to one of our contracts that we've got, and so a little bit of everything. That's the main thing is just to be there ready whenever I'm needed.
And so, what does a typical day look like for you? I mean, like that sounds like you're managing the ship, and you see things that needs to come in and you step in. But what does a typical day look like?
Yeah, the typical day looks like running around like a madman with my head chopped off. To be honest with you, it starts off very structured, and then something will happen. For the most part, I try to set aside certain days for paperwork. I love being out in the field. Everyone here in the office knows that I hate being trapped in my office. I call it my cave. There's no windows here, so when you grow up 30 years being out in the field, hopping up on roofs and in all kinds of weather, it's you get addicted to that, and when I get trapped inside, it's tough. So for the most part, it's coming in the office, checking in with everybody, getting some paperwork out of the way. If I've got some field stuff to do, then I run out in the field. Customers love when I pop in on them unexpectedly, even if I wasn't the one that sold the jobs. They appreciate that, and I love doing that. My crew loves, my roofing crews love me coming out and saying hi, then buying lunch. Honestly, it's a little bit of everything. Every day is filled with a splattering of every little thing that you can think of, from the marketing all the way down to the closing collection of projects.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you called out over there, Carlos, when you mentioned like what customers love when I do drop-ins or when the crew loves to buy lunch. It sounds like getting hands-on is something that's really important for you as a business owner.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it resonates with everybody. It resonates with the sales guys. It resonates with the customer. It resonates with the crew. It makes me happy just to be able to see other people happy. And it makes me happy to get a little sunlight and not be trapped in the cave. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and vitamin D is a great byproduct from just being out in the field for that. So what we've been doing, Carlos, is we've been engaging with roofing contractors to see what's out in the field. Like, what is from the big picture? Like, what are you seeing out there? So, from my perspective, Carlos, like, what are some major shifts that you're seeing out in the space?
Well, I think the advent of technology, number one. We're seeing a lot of technology being pushed into our space, and it's well deserved, and we've needed that for a while. I used to tell people that the roofing industry runs like it's still the 1960s. We didn't have the technology being injected as it was in a lot of the other industries and fields and professions. It's exciting to see that. We love being a part of it, and we love to being at the forefront. And we're doing some things that not a lot of people are thinking about or doing, and that's fun. The landscape is changing, and the buyer is changing. We're starting to see customers that were raised with tablets and cell phones in their hands. We're starting to deal with the people that are wanting an estimate instantly and not having to wait or meet with somebody in person. And we're also seeing shifts in the insurance industry. A lot of the roofing companies and contractors rely heavily on the storms and the claims and so forth, and that's changing in itself in the policies that are being written. So I think it's good. It's good for the industry to be shaken up. It's good for people to acclimate or get out, and I'm excited to be, like I said, at the forefront of that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you breaking it down to the three pillars there, from technology to the changing landscape of businesses, and then from the insurance perspective. Let's dive deep on each of those pillars. Help me understand what kind of technology is being used today, and like we'll go down the list.
Sure, absolutely. The first and foremost, as we all know, lead generation has been a big thing. I've got my LinkedIn inbox and my email inbox are full of people that are going to send me 10 times the estimate that I'm running now and leads, and so that's a big thing. Somehow the algorithms and they're getting us these leads that are supposed to be moving us to the next level. So that's a big thing. In satellite imagery and measurements, and we know that there's a lot of movement going on in that space. We've built our own measuring tool. We're able to measure our own roofs if we want to. So that was a big help in everybody. The insurance companies love it when you don't have to get on the roof. They don't like their adjusters getting on the roof. Since we are insured, then our our insurance carriers don't like it when we're up on roofs. That's a big thing. There's a little bit of everything from the color visualizers that are being put out there to the project management software, the CRMs that you see. We just saw AccuLinks got bought out for 2 billion, something crazy number like that. So technology is finally catching up with our industry, and it's fun and it's exciting. There, I think all it's going to do is help our industry. Like any industry, the more humans you have doing things, the more mistakes are going to be made, and the more you can cut those simple, monotonous tasks out and have a machine do it, then the better it is for everyone.
And I'm still like anchoring on like when you talk about like being out in the field. It's just from what I'm hearing, like these tools, they're just helping you get more time to be more human, to engage and to actually connect.
Yep.
I love how you call out that allowing ways to optimize. I want to go back to like that piece that made sense to me. That anchor of like connecting with your customers and your crews. It allows you to have more time to do those things. And I would imagine with these measurements pieces, it allows you to estimate faster.
Yeah, absolutely. We can give an estimate within literally seconds. I know it sounds crazy, but some of these roofs we can have within a minute have an estimate ready for a customer, and because we do a lot of real estate and insurance agent referral business, they love that. When a real estate agent has a closing and a pending closing, and they've got an inspector that called out the roof that needs a new roof, they need an estimate, they need a number ASAP. So I can within minutes, literally within minutes, have a quote for them. And again, it's an estimate. I haven't gone out to see if there's any soft plywood or layers and all that, but it's a very good number for them to use to be able to get that money put into escrow to replace the roof. And because of that, we get a lot of that business.
And it really reinforces what you mentioned with that landscape of buyers. The customers race with tablets and phones, want something instantly. Like you're delivering that through the things that you're adopting and optimizing for your workflow.
Absolutely.
Help me understand the buyers piece. Like you mentioned instantly, of them wanting results. Like what are their characteristics that you're seeing out there?
I think we're a lot of people that are in their buying age now grew up with tablets and phones, so they're able to do a lot of their purchases strictly from a phone. They don't need to talk to a heavy pushing salesman. They don't need you to come out and look at the roof to give them a quote. They want something quick and easy to be able to access and pull a trigger on. That's the big thing right now, is that we're the old guard. I'm 58 now. I grew up with computer games. I grew up with the old Pong and the Atari system. So
Yeah.
I certainly didn't have a cell phone in my hand growing up, but I was in my early 20s when the cell phones came out. So I use the heck out of technology. I love it. I love it. I live on the edge of it, where I've got people that are in their 20s and 30s that still aren't comfortable with it. So, but for the majority of people that grew up with these tools in their hand, they're able to access, options and be able to have a dozen or so options at their fingertips to pull the trigger on. And also it helps in the closing of these people when you're trying to close a sale, to be able to utilize this technology, and they think it's cool. I've had several people that love our presentations because most of them are on Zoom. I'm able to utilize technology that you wouldn't be able to do in person. Your color visualizers and all that is hard to show on a tablet or on a cell phone when you're in front of a customer's house. So it's something that we're able to pull both buyers, the husband and the wife. If there's a two-person house owners, then we're able to pull both of them in the middle of the day instead of it just being. I remember back in the day, it wasn't too long ago, '90s, where you have to either make an appointment at 5, 6 o'clock at night when
Yeah.
the customers got home from work, or a Saturday, and you were very limited to that time frame. With this option, with Zoom, with all the different virtual meeting spaces that we have, we're able to do the things a lot more, a lot faster, a lot simpler, and a lot more technically advanced, and it's cool. People love it. People love to see that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're meeting the customers where they want to be met.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
what I'm hearing from this. How about for the insurance industry? I mean, you talked about policies changing.
Yeah,
What does that
well,
mean from you?
we're not heavy insurance, but many companies are. I have friends who own roofing companies who totally rely on storms and storm chasing. We're a brick and mortar shop here in Westchester, just north of Cincinnati, and we kind of cherish the fact that we've become a local resource for many people, including single family homeowners and multifamily property owners and the insurance agents and the real estate agents. But I think the policies are changing. Obviously, the insurance's job is to cover you with their policies, but to mitigate that risk. So when you have areas like Florida and Texas that are getting hammered with hurricanes every year, California with earthquakes and fires, and then the Midwest, the middle of the U.S. with the Tornado Alley area, then they're doing everything they can to pay as little as possible, uh, as much as possible. So that's not. I tell people all the time, insurance companies aren't an evil corporation. It's a group of people that get paid a check to do a job, and their job is to not cost their company money. And because of that, policies are changing. High deductibles, ACV policies are becoming very popular in certain areas where they're only going to pay for whatever's left of life on the roof instead of it being a full recoverable cash value. There's a lot of things that are happening within the industry that are changing the face of what it looks like to do business if you're going to be in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with all of these happenings, with the changing demographic of customers, with technology and just insurance policies, which doesn't sound like it's heavily impacting you as much as your peers who rely on it, what's working well for you now?
Farming. Believe it or not, farming. I teach my guys that they can go out and pluck and hunt one house at a time by door knocking or waiting for the phone to ring, or they can farm. They can nourish and feed in relationships that will feed them later on, and that's key. Every one of our guys has to be a member of a networking group. BNI, Business Network International, is the largest networking group in the world, and they have dozens of chapters in most of the cities that are out here. So they have to join a chapter of BNI or one of the other networking groups to help that. And they learn how to network, they learn how to utilize their relationships, they learn how to feed those relationships, and eventually, reap the reward, reap the fruit from that relationship. But that's one of the big differences between us and many of the companies around me right now is that we're heavy, heavy, heavy on farming. As crazy as that sounds.
No, that's great. I mean, it's humans like to work with humans. And if you
Absolutely.
can establish that connection, it's just no amount of paid advertising can replace the human connection.
Absolutely. Especially when it resonates, when something, we all have a story, we all have something that we can talk about or touch on that connects you with the next person. And being able to have that, and that's a real visceral feeling you have when someone tells you a story that you know exactly what they're talking about. And that helps. That helps a lot. And, I sit on the board of the Better Business Bureau here in the Cincinnati area. That's a rare thing for a roofing company, but we cherish that. We enjoy the fact that our local community has chosen us to be a part of that organization, an organization that is built on integrity. And that's the whole point of what we're doing is I want you to know who I am, not just what I do. And the more who you know I am, then the better it is for you to be able to buy from me.
Yeah, Absolutely. On the flip side, Carlos, what keeps you up at night as a business owner?
Oh man, not a whole lot anymore. I'm a huge believer in faith. I kind of have given everything to God. I said, Lord, you handle this. So there's not a lot that keeps me up, but it's taken me a long time. I've been in the business for 32 years. I've owned Continental for going on 15 years now. So I've been through the gamut. I've been through the COVID, the lean times, the fat times. I kind of realized that it's a roller coaster ride, and as long as I'm wearing my seatbelt, I'm going to be just fine. Just hold
Amen.
on.
Amen for that. From as a now, what frustrates you from like your day to day stuff? What are some things that you're calling out as like what you want to focus on to improve?
Sure. The hardest part of what I do is trying to convince people of what I just told you. Everybody who hears about the roofing industry thinks it's a get rich quick scheme and they think they're going to become millionaires overnight. Getting them to understand that that's not how this game works. That's not how you last in this business. If you want to make a quick buck and get out, that's great. Do that, but stay away from our office because that's not how we roll. We're heavily, heavily invested in what we do. And people see that. People can tell when we go out to put a roof on. I just got back from Dayton. It was a 35, 40-minute drive to get up on a roof to tell a lady that the roof's fine. She's had two or three different people tell her she needed a new roof. Her financial planner told her daughter told her, two roofing guys had come by. This is a roof that's probably 20 years old, but it's in great shape. It's in a shady spot. It looks great. There's a couple of repairs that need to be made. Less than $2,000 worth of repairs need to be made to this thing, and it'll last another 10 years. The lady's 80 something years old. She doesn't want to spend another 25 grand after spending 20 grand on an AC unit in a flooded basement. So that makes us feel good. That's what resonates with customers: the integrity, the honesty. We're not out to make a quick buck. We're out to help you, and then hopefully in return you help us.
Yeah, and it's so funny you bring that up. You're the third roofer that we've engaged with that's had that story where you do a good deed and you have to have integrity on your patch to describe like this is not um this doesn't need a repair right now. And like what we've found with the other roofers is they got 3+ referrals from that same person that did not need a roof. But because you've led with integrity and you're not out to your quote like make a quick buck, you've established a long-term relationship and it's been described almost like a walking billboard or like you have an unofficial ambassador for your company speaking about your praises.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Especially somebody who probably knows a ton of people. She's an 80-year-old lady who's lived in her neighborhood for the better part of her life. She knows a lot of people. So that's what I told my guy. I said, you keep in touch with this lady, and I guarantee you she's going to help you out later on.
What are some of the metrics that you're focusing on to improve your business?
Um, well, one of the big metrics obviously is revenue. Just kind of keeping sales going. Making sure that we're keeping the sales going. That's a big thing. Profit margins are always something that we watch. Making sure that our guys are meeting their quotas. Um, those are the big ones. We're not a big metrics. I'm not like throwing all the numbers into an algorithm to spit out what area we should door knock or hit on next. We're like I said, it's a roller coaster ride. So I kind of average everything out, and at the end of the year, if we've knocked out 400 roofs, then we had a great year. Um, so
I love that you keep it simple. I find some business owners tend to get lost in the metrics for the sake of metrics, saying like we're on this Kaggle waterfall method, and at the end of the day, like is the business making money? Are your customers and your staff happy and fulfilled? And are you doing work that's meaningful? I think that's kind of like what I've seen the success metrics, like the characteristics of what we find in successful roofers today.
yeah, I think if you wanted to really dive into metrics and you're looking at a specific area, then you can really get into some numbers on the age of the roofs, the age of the customer. There's a lot of things that you can dive deep on, but I think we keep that to a specific area. If we're looking at a certain market that we want to hit in, then we definitely spend a little time diving deeper into those type of things.
Fantastic. So, as we're rounding out this podcast, Carlos, where do you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months from now?
In about 2 weeks, I'm going to be in Puerto Vallarta. I'm looking
Beautiful.
forward to that. I got a little trip scheduled for that. But in 12 months, I think I just want to be, a little bit better than I am this year. I'm not looking to get crazy busy or crazy rich. I'm looking at, this next year to be another stepping stone. And I've had several VCs and private equity firms, knock on our door, wanting to know what it's going to take to buy us out. We've built an incredible name for Continental here, and we hope that we just keep building on that, and that the name gets stronger, and then eventually, and maybe not in 12 months, but in a few years, be building up my exit, and either sell the place or hand it off to the next person and let them roll with it. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I look long term. I'm not really looking 12 months. I'm looking maybe 5 or 6 years to be done and out. So that's my goal.
So, Carlos, where do you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months from now?
Well, where I want to be is retired, but that's probably not in my immediate future. I'm looking, to exit, in about 5 or 6 years. I think that's going to be that's my goal, anyways, is to be to the point to where I could turn this over to whoever wants to buy it. I've had several VCs and private equity firms come knocking on the door trying to inquire about whether we're for sale or not. We're just not, and I'm. It's hard to to sell the goose that's giving us the golden egg, if that makes sense. So we're enjoying it and having fun with what's going on. For the next 12 months, I just want to be one step ahead of where we are today. I think that's the big thing, solidifying the relationships that we have with our salespeople and the community, and from there on, who knows what's going on.
Yeah, we're finding that to be a common trend. But I think what really sets you apart is like your focus on the human connection, Carlos. I think that's what's really gonna set you apart, and like really what attracts the other firms asking for a buyout. As you go through this, if you had a magic wand, um, to fix something in your business that's holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be?
Oh man, I think I touched on this earlier. Convincing the people that come to work for us to put in the time. That this is not a get rich quick industry. It's not the old West days like it used to be. This is especially the way we do business. We want people who are committed to a long term, and somewhere where they can grow, and make six figures. Doing something fun, working outside, climbing on roofs, talking to people. That's what we're really focused on right now.
So you mentioned on from a business a magic wand, to fix one thing in business is to convince that people to come to work for us to put in that time. Like it's going to happen. So what you look for. Help me understand more about that.
Yeah, I think this younger generation, whether it's they're on YouTube or Instagram too much, they think that they're going to walk into a profession, an industry, and immediately make six figures. That's not real. That's not real at all. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. You have to be motivated to come to work and be able to perform and do your job. But you also at the end of the day, it's about getting things done. That's one of the hardest parts about what we do now is, because a lot of what we do is not a revenue generating directly thing, networking, talking to people, one-to-one meetings, having communication, open lines of communication with different, revenues of streams of revenue is takes work. It takes time. It takes that some persistence and to persevere and get things done. And that's one of the things that we found it hard to get people to understand. Even guys that are in their 40s, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
everybody seems to think that they're going to be able to walk into brand new into an industry and make six figures overnight.
Yeah, the the illusion of social media comes into play with it, and I think that's
Absolutely.
one thing that I have to always remind myself too. Um, Now, let's take a step back here, Carlos. Let's look at younger Carlos 30 years from now ago. What advice do you have for him as he's going out to start his own roofing activities and business and everything that comes with it?
Yeah, the number one thing, and then I tell this to a lot of people. I mentor a lot of people through the networking groups that we're in. A lot of college students that come visit. the number one thing is don't be afraid to fail. That was a mug that I saw on a desk many years ago, and it said, "Imagine what you could accomplish if you weren't afraid to fail." And that resonated with me so much, and it's so true. We all worry about silly things that we think are the end of the world, especially when you're young. You feel like that the relationship breakup is the last one you'll ever have. It's the end of the world when in a few weeks it's over with and gone. That's the main thing. Is if I could tell myself that, I could have accomplished different things. I think I've been a little bit further in my career had I not been so hesitant to pull the trigger on some of the things that I wanted to do.
Someone once told me fear is just an acronym that states false evidence appearing as real. Like we make this story in our head that almost paralyzes us to like think like we're
Yeah,
not afraid, like we're afraid to door knock because of this rejection's gonna be the end of the world. Um,
yeah, exactly.
but those that move forward is what creates the legacy, and we really
Yeah,
appreciate just hearing about your story, Carlos, and what you're doing and the advice about that human connection no matter what industry you're in. It's like you're doing the principles that yield success in whatever place that you're placed in. Where can people find more about you and your company?
our website, www.contiroofco.com, CONTIROOFCO.com. I mean, you could probably Google us and see some of the stories, some of the good feel good stories that we've done. We put free roofs on for a lot of people that needed it. We gave gift certificates to all our Westchester PD and fire and EMS, one year. So those are the type of things that we like to brag about. We put on a lot of roofs. There's no doubt about it. And we have a lot of happy customers, but we love being part of the community that we're in. We love taking care of the people that take care of us.
Yeah, and it's evident your community driven approach to building a local business speaks dividends over here. Thanks for your time, Carlos. This has been great.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.